Thank you very much. Next up, Sheriff Durfor speak at the department.
Take it out of here.
Can everyone hear me all right? Thank you. I want to welcome all of you for coming out this evening, and I was asked by Supervisor Abbey to attend this town hall to give you a little bit of an update in regards to what's going on in the Sheriff's Department. I know that for many of you that live in the city of Wheatland, you have your own police department, but there are a number of functions that we still provide you, and working in conjunction with the police department in Wheatland as well. Believe me, there's not enough time to cover all that's been going on over the last couple of years within the Sheriff's Department. I assumed office as sheriff in January of 2007. Overall, my career at the Yuba County Sheriff's Department has been about 23 years. Prior to being sheriff, under sheriff for about 8 years, and serving practically almost in every division within the Sheriff's Department. Just before I get into just to highlight a few of the things, and one particular point I wanted to make that's a rather historic change that we've made in how we do business at the Sheriff's Department. For any of you that may not know, as far as the Sheriff's Department, we provide all the general law enforcement, the typical cops and robbers things, if you will, for all of the unincorporated areas of Yuba County. But we're also the coroner's office for the county as well as the public administrator. We run the county jail, as well as serve civil processes through our civil division, in addition to providing courtroom security through our civil office as well. Also, animal care services is under our umbrella of responsibility. And we have, like most law enforcement agencies, a wide range of programs that fall within that. We're broken down into 3 divisions: operations, which is patrol, investigations, coroners, work primarily; a jail civil division that kind of speaks for itself, in essentially running a 420-bed county jail facility in Marysville. And in the 3rd division being support services, which tends to kind of just support all those other functions. And that's where dispatch, animal care services, fleet and building maintenance, training, all of those components fall into play. We have a SWAT team, we have K-9, we have Marine enforcement, a dive team, a search and rescue team, a men's and women's posse that becomes heavily involved in search and rescue operations, as well as a cadet program, 16 to 21-year-old individuals in the community that many have started as cadets with us that are now full-time, and some of them with rank in learning at an early age about the law enforcement as a career path for them. So there's a number of those programs that we could talk about at length. What I did want to talk to you about is there's been a number of changes that have happened over the last few years and are constantly being looked at within the Sheriff's Department. And one of the more significant things that we've done is really looking at a complete restructure and reorganization of the Sheriff's Department, where we had civilianized a few positions, redistributed some work to some other civilian staff, and with one of the frustrations that I've had over the years is the fact that we've had very tenured law enforcement officers with many years, some of them in excess of 15 years of law enforcement experience, that found themselves doing administrative functions. And certainly all their training and the investment of county taxpayer dollars in building them up to be law enforcement officers, they found themselves essentially writing desks and doing administrative functions. Through a restructuring, we actually netted, which I think is important to you as a taxpayer in this county, 3 full-time officers that we already had, and had pushed them out into the streets to do law enforcement functions, which again is what their training experience was all about to begin with. And through some restructuring and looking at how we do business, for the first time ever, we have created within the Sheriff's Department about mid-2007, it's continued to grow, is a game unit within the department. We certainly all recognize that we are not immune from the gang activities and the growing menace that has in the Yuba Sutter area. So we have a full-time staff dedicated to just gang enforcement. We also have joined in partnership with the Yuba Sutter law enforcement agencies and being part of a Yuba Sutter gang task force as well that kind of interfaces and works with our in-house unit, in addition to developing within our jail a jail intelligence unit, which has been an untapped resource for us for many years with pertinent intelligence data on general criminal behavior going on in the community, but also primarily a lot with relating to gangs. So it's in all those working together, it has made us much more effective in responding to the gang issues in our community. Through the restructuring as well, we were able to have essentially a lieutenant or a middle manager who has a presence in the field, in the valley, and then also into the foothill region as well. We've kind of divided the county up in two separate segments, valley and hills. But we have a lieutenant now in each of those segments that are being able to provide a more management oversight with the activities and our programs out into the community. We are also able to, in maneuvering around some positions, is add to our resident hill deputy program as well. So we have more deputies working in our foothills as residents than we ever have before. Another area that we have placed a little emphasis over the years on that we've recognized, and I think you would probably agree with me, and that is in the area of crime prevention. And for years it was kind of a hat amongst many that one individual for the entire county occasionally engaged in. We now have 2 full-time crime prevention officers in the department that are supported greatly by a very active volunteer program that we have in doing a number of community events. Also, what we've been recognizing the shortcomings with the state. We don't run our own crime lab, nor does the city of Wheatland or Yuba City Police Department or Sutter County. We rely heavily on the California Department of Justice Crime Lab to process a lot of evidence. What we've been investing in heavily is in advanced training as well as technology to expand our ability to process physical evidence right within the Sheriff's Department. And why is that important? Well, one is that unless it's the most high profile of a case, i.e. a murder or a kidnapping or something of that nature, the turnaround time from the state to get physical evidence back because of their backlog, say for a property crime. Say we see some evidence that may have potential fingerprints or other physical evidence that might help us identify a bad guy. In short, we're lucky if 6 months, 8 months, maybe even up to a year before we would actually get those results back from the lab. And that's unacceptable. And you can only imagine how many times that offender is re-offending when we had the opportunity with good evidence had we just been able to identify it. So we are investing and have, through our community service officers, a bunch of advanced officer training in crime scene reconstruction, physical evidence processing, and investing in forensic equipment right in our own shop, as well as some software programs to help us identify fingerprints. What would have again taken maybe 6 to 8 months, we're actually identifying prints like in 2 hours or less. And again, being able to identify offenders and take them out of commission, if you will. So that the CSI capabilities, which is kind of all the television shows these days, I guess we have CSI Yuba County that's kind of evolving right now as well. And certainly our, those technologies and abilities that we have are certainly available to anybody upon request. And on occasion we have helped the city of Wheatland Police Department upon their request with those, and we're here in that partnership with them always. What I did want to just touch on is really one of the most historical changes probably in the Sheriff's Department that we've ever done. And that is over the years, since about the mid-90s, we all started going automated. When I started the department, when I was FTO and Mr. Bendorf back then, I mean, everything was a number 2 pencil and filling in a form. And everything, in dispatch was to push a button, and it was a time card, and everything was manually written into a ledger. And there really was a very difficult process in which to retrieve any kind of historical data. In the mid-90s, the Sheriff's Department, through other administrations, we started evolving into the computers. And as we stand now, there's computer-aided dispatch. I mean, there are 4 computer monitors in front of each dispatch station. Everything that comes in is recorded, as well as data entries are happening. Jail used to be, rolled in a triplicate form into a typewriter, and that's how you book somebody. Now it's all computerized, as well as their photographs, their tattoos, other distinguishing marks, anything else that may come up about them pertinent to a particular offender through the classification process. The probation office is all automated, as well as the DA's office, the courts. We have computers in the patrol cars now as well, and all reports go into there, which is all great advancement, but one component that we were missing, and that is that we were never mining that information or analyzing that information to tell us what's going on in our county when.